Forgive me. I actually need to burp. Yes, I do. Right, so anyway, join me live. It's midnight here in the UK, in Portsmouth, which is right down on the bottom. So if you're looking at the UK, England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Well, Wales has always confused me on South and North Wales. And then right down the bottom here would be Portsmouth, which is a naval base, and it's where all the ships go in and out of, predominantly here in the UK, for obviously sending all of the shipment out that Boris Johnson has authorised British military equipment, not in my name, that's something else. So anyway, Wednesday. I'm just sitting here thinking about Wednesday, but also thinking about making sure everything is lined up and ready for the 1st of May. Why the 1st of May? Every May, EDS Support UK and EDS Society do an awareness. So basically, we are a physical body, yeah? Every single one of us is a physical body. I would love to know what the statistics in the UK predominantly, not the rest of the world, because the rest of the world don't work necessarily like the Western world. So we British people, so I'm what's considered a white British English person, right? So I would be considered one of the last, and I'm not actually necessarily sure I'm a pure English British, because there's Irish and all sorts in my life. And also, just to say a really quick story, and Oliver will probably laugh at this, just to give you a little quick story. I've mentioned this before. When I was younger, I've got no earlobes here, okay? And I've got rubber lips. And I was tormented at school for having big lips. And my mum taught me a couple of quotes to respond to people so I didn't get upset and react to people making comments such as, hey, laser lips, your mother were a snowblower, or they would say rubber lips, or they would say different things about me. But my mum was also one who said, when I was 16, now she's told me this when I was about 14, but said when I was 16, I was going to turn black, and said about Michael Jackson having pigment, and it was because he was like once white and was turning black and no earlobes and rubber lips. And my mum tried to convince me, and they went quite far with this. Even the headmistress got involved, newspaper articles to try to prove that, I would start getting black pigments on me because I've got a white birthmark on the back. My mum used to slap my birthmark. I've got a pure white birthmark that goes like angel wings on the back of my neck, right? And my mum used to really slap it. And if I'm really hot or I'm sunburnt or anything like that, it never ever ever gets any tan. It doesn't sunburn. It's just a pure white mark. And when I show you in the summer, I'll put my hair up and I will let the sun get to my back, and I will show you the shape that it goes on my back. My kids have all got one as well, right? I think Aaron's is actually on his side, and so is Liam's on his side. And Daniel's got one on his back of his neck. Faith got hers on the back of her neck. Elijah and Shiloh, funny enough, are on the back of their neck, and they got one on the back of their leg as well. So, and it's a pure white birthmark, not brown birthmark, pure white birthmark. So anyway, my mum said that I was going to turn black, and I just took a lot of tormenting at school about my lips, what I looked like. I was called Moose, Minger, all these different things and stuff like that, right? Every single one of us is a physical body, and within the multi-agency framework, and this is predominantly what Wednesday is not about, right? So let's just skip a bit and go Harriet Hartman. So Harriet Hartman is a QC, an MP, and she is a person who's going to be chairing this meeting, and it'll be Houses of Lords, blah, 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 blah. I haven't done my full-blown research. I've seen things. I know things gone out. What I've tried to do is quickly shoot out to make sure people know about it. Because what annoys me is, say when I went to I went down to Leeds, because Leeds they were open to everything. This is going back to 2000. Dean came with me. So Dean was with me. So this was 2015. And we had Elijah, and I'm sure I might have been pregnant with Shiloh. We stayed in a hotel. It was paid for by Leeds University, and I was given a name to stand under London College University or wherever it was. So this was under Leeds to do some research, to gather as much research as we could to really find out whether there really was a problem with how the system was working. Predominantly, take this EDS manual, right? This is an EDS manual. If you pick up this manual, it is the management of EDS, right? Every single one of us is a physical body. We have a mind, we have a brain, we can do what we want with it. The multi-agency framework has to put us in a box. It has to take this piece of the puzzle, yeah? And it has to stick us in a box. So whether we be male or female, now we can be many things. What colour we are, whether we're African Caribbean, whether we're white British, whether we're blah, 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 the list goes on. Then what age range we're in. When you go to school, they want to understand your learning. What annoys me, say with Elijah and Shiloh turning up to 5, see a health visitor, they don't want to know what's right with my kids. They want to know what's wrong. So the first thing when I'm talking about multi-agency framework and why is this important when it's relevant to children being taken? It's relevant when children are being taken because children are taken only through one actual facet, which is by what is said as statute law. The majority of children that are taken, the majority of children handed over and given to social care, police or social workers or parents, the predominant most of it is through coercion. It is done through, from my perspective of somebody who has witnessed what is known as foster care children since the age of 7. So my first ever acknowledgement of somebody in foster care was somebody coming to our school for a very short time as a foster care child and then growing into it. And then obviously social coming in when I was about 11. Then obviously myself going into foster care when I was 15. Now, the majority of people who end up in this system are people who do not believe in themselves. They're people who don't know themselves. They're people, imagine water. Imagine a piece of paper in a river, floating, being battered, taken absolutely everywhere. No direction, just going wherever it is. If all of a sudden somebody grabs that piece of paper out and decides to do what it wants with that piece of paper, that piece of paper has a choice. And this is what people don't understand. And this is what Step Up Britain, Challenge Britain started as. If you go back to the original article that said to look in the mirror, I've got to go down there. I completely forgot. There's a large mirror down there. I want to go and get to do something. I want to go and stick it somewhere. To look in the mirror. So hello. To look in the mirror and take the masks off. And if you don't like what you see, to change it. Obviously, I'm not talking about, hey, you've got to accept things such as your nose, what your nose looks like, what your physical body is. Your physical body is nothing more than a residual part of your thoughts and actions from 2 seconds ago to 2 hours ago to right up to this second here now, yeah? I can make a different decision in where I talk and what I speak at. The people on the website, so for those that don't know, my website's on the back of my hoodie, kelliecottam.com. Yes, I do have com, but I don't use it at the moment because I'm the director of Step Up Britain. Why am I the director of Step Up Britain? I'm the director of Step Up Britain because back in 2010, and I can tell you the exact day that it went properly, you have to go onto companies' houses to become a registered company. Mine was Unity in the Community. I can't find anything, but I know it's back there if I do some research as a dissolved company. I don't know what year it got dissolved in. So Unity in the Community started when I graduated from university. I graduated from psychology. As you know, the first ever lecture that I ever stepped into, they basically said, if you were abused, therefore you go on to abuse. I have challenged this ever since. This is about 2003. My GCSEs and education was taken away from me due to a failed multi-agency framework meeting. I have that in paperwork, fact presented. It's in my foster care file. What education we choose, we grow up that. If we do not get a good education, therefore we will not get a good job. If we don't get a good job, we won't have a good life and we'll end up where? On the benefit system. What is a job? Job is just over broke, nothing more than living just beyond the means. And like I said, I had to earn over 60,000 in order to clear the system. What I was basically saying is people were on benefits. Back then it was income support. Don't take into consideration everything that covers, everything from prescriptions, school dinners. If you've got children, you get allowances on school uniforms. The fact that I was on disability living allowance at the time, which also meant I had Motability that covered my car insurance, covered the fact that I didn't pay car tax, covered the fact that I didn't have any MOTs because my car was replaced every 3 years. The only thing I paid for was for my petrol, but that came out of my income support. I was also on severe disability allowance at the time. Severe disability allowance was a bolt-on benefits that existed. I was on it 10 years longer than it had ever existed. What I was saying back to George Osborne, Kellie Franklin was another EDSer who we both went out around the same time. It was in May. It was an EDS awareness. And again, the EDS community go out, we do awareness, we write to politicians, we talk about it, we try to push the fact that it's classed as a rare condition that is being failed by the NHS and has been privatised. Privatisation that you're all going through right now, which is what the actual Great Reset is actually about, privatising the Western NHS over from America, and obviously one of the biggest investors in that is Richard Branson. Back to Richard Branson. Why did I turn to these people and go where I went? Please remember, this was coming from a desperate point of view, knowing that I was going to be kicked as a mother with 4 children back in 2010 when George Osborne announced the change for universal credits. That basically meant that what they were going to do was put everybody onto the new system, but to do that, they had to remove them from the old. I challenged them to say, you can't do that. You've got to put people on the new before you take them off the old. They said that's not how it was going to be working. Usually, any changes within government system, what is government system? Government system is what you know as the subheading, as a school fragmented stuff that you know as geography, history, and politics. Politics, religion, these are all separate factors that create a wheel that somebody like George Osborne sits as like a director, subsection. All these people, which basically have gone through Eton, top universities, things like that, they're all groomed. What is grooming? Grooming is being prepared to be something that you didn't even know that you were going to come in this world to do, that you're groomed by either your parents, an institution, in the dynamics of the Western world that the mere mortal peasants won't understand. But if you watch teenage films and things like that, you'll know what a sorority is. You'll know what, I can't remember what it is for boys. So sorority is for girls and something else. So basically you make a pledge. What is a pledge? A pledge is allegiance, a pledge of a world. To what do soldiers do? Soldiers take an oath. No, they don't. They take a pledge. What do soldiers do? I can't remember what soldiers do. Police take an oath. Judges take an oath. And they all take an oath based on the values and principles of core values built on who? The Queen. The Queen is nothing more than a family and bloodline of people that come along on horses. As I said, back in the days, they rode on horses. Kings used to rape everybody that was getting married. Back in the days when we were divided by Scotland, England, Ireland and Wales, and we used to war gallantly between the south and the north, and we lived divided. Still as our great nation here in Great Britain, once it was called divided by nations, there's lots of history that we were taught in school that was completely a fallacy and nothing more than fables. We were taught stories, we were taught nursery rhymes, we were taught things to get into our brains and into our minds. Labels, they say, they come along and the one gets set over in the corner. It's called the special needs child, the one that, you know, somebody else's daughter. So anyway, let's not go on. I'm trying to fragment myself and put myself in line and sort so much fucking shit out and make sure that I'm everywhere that I need to be on time. On time, you say, what is that? It's nothing more than a fucking illusion. Something that was from the sun and the sunset and sunrise that was decided on one of them little dials. Do you remember them dials? It was nothing more than an illusion. And this is why I have a problem with education and the institution system. One thing that we're not taught as individuals is to write our own schedule. We're brought straight out of our own personal body clock schedule. We're told to get an alarm clock and get up and put our children to bed. By 7:30, it must be just in time to go to watch EastEnders instead. EastEnders, Emmerdale, Coronation Street, the lot. Make sure it's dumbing you down and keeping you so you... So anyway, what is MK Ultra and what is mind control? Why would people do this? And is it really just the rich people's problems when Elon Musk's freaking pilotless planes are crashing into aeroplanes? Down they fall, down it comes, but the pilot's not there. It just flies on. 100 people burnt and severed, but hey, just carry on playing with your fucking rockets. These rockets, I said, as Basil and Richard Branson and Elon Musk and the other said side of the red X. What does the red X on my head mean? It was nothing more than a group of people that came together through LZ7 back in 2007 with this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. It went to number 7. Google it if you like. And it was about child trafficking. It's a really, really difficult subject to talk about. And I can remember my mum's reaction when I first posted about the Congo, about women and children as young as 3 that were being hung to trees, raped, brutally and murdered for the mineral that makes us vibrate our mobile phones. You know that little thing when it makes our alarm clock go off and it goes vzz, 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 vzz. It's a mineral. And now we move forward into futuristic cars that drive by themselves where people can sit down with a nice glass. They can even watch a film and curl up their legs while this car, using crystals and LEDs, drives by itself. It's very interesting. I quite love the futuristic world, but do I want a chip put upon my wrist and into my hands? Beware of the clubs and the festivals this summer. They'll get you very pissed, and out you will come in the morning and wonder, and your hand is take your plaster off and think you've already been chipped. So anyway, a lot I've got to say, but I've got to fragment myself because I've got to alienate and pass off so many different pieces of the puzzles and literally walk into a meeting that, no, I'm not invited. Have I been invited on Wednesday? No. Why would I? It's Harriet Hartman, of course. Why would she want me in the room? So no, I've not been invited. Take the piss, some people will say. They don't want Kellie around. She doesn't know what to say. No, that's not the case. I know exactly what to say. Up to 1990s. No, I'm 19. I was born on the 17th of the 7th, 1998. And they are only going up to 1994, I think. Classing it as Victorian. I don't think that's quite Victorian. However, they did invite current. I do believe, I'm going to talk on a serious note, I do believe that a lot of people have made in contact with this inquiry, and the reply that we got was they were inundated with so many responses that they have now classified and narrowed it down to look at this particular point. So, our train is booked for about, I think it's like something like 7 minutes past 9 in the morning. So we're going to get into London for about 11, 11:30. So then we're gonna take breakfast with us. So we're gonna go get breakfast on the way to the train station. Go down to the main bit. It's literally just there. So get some breakfast. Take some bits on the train. It's got about 2 hours on the train. I'm taking my laptop, even though I can't do everything that I need to do on it. So I'm taking my laptop. I'm taking the leads that I need. I've got my phone. This is the difference between everything that I was doing from when Aaron and Faith were taken. So when Aaron and Faith were taken on the 13th of December 2012, all my complaints were all lodged on their system, I think by the 18th of January 2013. And then literally it was fucking ridiculousness. It was 7 police officers at the door while I was on my phone to my mum accusing me of beating Liam. And then there was police officers because I got anonymous masks turn up at the front door, and it was a parcel, and me and Liam had anonymous masks because I was picked up by people in anonymous masks. So I had police at the door again. Then I had police at the door again making allegations that I had threatened the BBC person who was on site, which was a load of bollocks. There's no police record of it. Then there was the person that went out in the papers talking about how wonderful and amazing Save the Family was that caused issues. Then they put a non-molestation order on me on the basis that they said a member of staff, but they used the name, this is all evident, they used the name of one of the residents to say, and she follows me, to say that I'd said that I planned to kidnap my children and I'd gone and hired a car. I bet that I'd actually hired the car about 7 or 8 months before moving even on to Save the Family, of which was contracted to 2 years. The difference with social housing, it's called a temporary tenancy. It's not a secure tenancy, so you're still classed as homeless on the books. Even though you've got a roof above your head, you can cook your dinner, you park your car, you go to bed, you sleep, your children have got somewhere to put your clothes, but you're still classed as homeless. So when the judge is told that there's a mother with all 4 children classed as homeless, you get an image. This is why I went to the streets. Why did I go to the streets? I went to the streets, one, because I wanted to understand what the fuck the judge thought about mum classed as homeless when, one, at the particular point that my children were taken, by law, if they'd wanted to do a 26-week assessment on me, or if they'd wanted to do even a children in need or a child protection or a parent assessment, I was living in a supported accommodation where they could have actually have done that, where there was online living on residence 24/7 days a week, staff, so they could have literally have turned up with the police, called child protection on me, and said that Kellie has to now legally stay here while we do an assessment on her, taken me to court, asked me to do X, Y, and Z, like work with social housing, work with the benefit system. They said I had to be on benefits there, couldn't be self-employed. They were claiming something like £1,500 a week or something for benefits for us there, per person, plus all the laundry, plus all the service stuff, plus that we paid for an electric meter eventually, plus there was other stuff. It was corrupt as fuck. Apparently there's bodies buried for many, many, many years from young mothers, stillborns, many children that have been taken from years and years. The person who first ever owned it before the council took it over was a woman called Miss Speed, something Speed. Her and her husband owned it. She was a headmistress of a school. She set this up with her bare hands, built it from the community. It was meant to help and nurture young mothers, parents, homeless, blah, 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 blah. Meant to have started, obviously, domestic violence. It's been drugs. And then when I went there, it was obviously for homeless. Her husband died and it was taken over by the council in 2010, and they were told to buck their ideas up. There was lots of complaints. I arrived on the 13th. I arrived on Halloween of 2012 and went into the top room, blah, 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 blah. Very nice, very lovely. 10 foot of snow through the winter. Didn't get to appreciate it apart from me and Liam did build a snowman for all of the kids around. He lost his phone and we actually found it when the snow melted and it was still working. That was really cool. Even had another mother who had a very, very similar thing happen. She slipped the discs in her back carrying things home. She had lots of children. I stood my ground. This is after my children were taken. I stood my grounds and said, you can use the very same people to be with her children on site while she is up and having all the stuff done, blah, blah, blah. They wouldn't let the father on. I manned them children the whole time. Blah, blah, blah. Just as there's another mother here that knows full well that I threw her in my fucking bath, sobered her up, and locked her and her baby in my fucking flat and said, you got two choices. They're going to come in here now and take that little girl off you now, or you get your fucking shit together and we get you ready. When the very same Volvo came up to take this baby girl, and I literally got the dad, I said, I don't care what your fucking difference is. Both of them come over and watch me, so they will know. And they both know that Save the Family is corrupt. Yes, that baby girl very, very later got taken into care, and I know they're both working, hence why they're both here to try to see how they can deal with this. But yes, I threw her into my fucking bath. Yes, I sobered her up. Yes, I told her to get her fucking shit together or they were coming in and they were going to put that little girl in that car seat and blah, blah, blah. And yes, I held the ground. Yes, I turned into a fucking raving wolf on that site. And yes, I turned into somebody that could have killed the fat fucking cunt mate who stood in front of me and told me to watch my mouth when I called it Save the Family. Save the Family. You call this place Save the Family? This is Save the fucking paedophile, fuck the children, mate. And that is what I said on the 13th of May, 2013, which was the very last day I ever saw Aaron and Faith, which was the day that my two babies were put back with this very same foster carers that the police had removed my children. They couldn't put them back with me because they said it was in court. I won the complaint, everything. And they moved my children to some really lovely people. And they were with some really lovely people in Prestatyn. Lovely, had a lovely car, lovely caravan, lovely house, everything like that. But the first foster carers that my children were put to were not very nice people. And they were not very nice people and they didn't do very nice things. And they didn't treat my children very nicely. And I won, and my children were moved to nice people. But on my contact on the 13th of May, 2012, my children walked in with a custard cream biscuit. And I asked them, did you see Lenny this morning? And they said, yes. My contact was shut down. The social worker kicked me out. They told me where my children were was none of my business. The police were brought and I was told to leave the vicinity with my son, Liam. If anybody knows Flintshire, and they will know that there is a police station, a library, swimming pool, and Connors Quay social services that's no longer there. It's been demolished. I used to go through a glass door after reception door, through another glass door, down a corridor to sit in a room that had a high chair. Lovely red, nice puffy things, but nothing in it. The first time I saw Aaron and Faith after they were taken, I went down the very same corridor but turned left and I went into a very dark room with a big board reading, and that's where I saw my children for their Christmas contact on the 14th of, not the 14th, the 23rd. I didn't see Aaron and Faith for 5 days after they were taken. You've got 72 hours to save your kids once they're taken, guys, before you end up in a 26-week court process. Once they're taken, you've got 72 hours to slam these bastards. Even if you sign an agreement of expectations of what you will be doing, and you insist that your children remain at home with you at all times, and you call the shots, yeah? That's a parent that they will work with, that they know will look after their child, when they know the parents will call the shots. When I came here pregnant with Elijah, and I told him straight, I'm coming here to give birth in a hospital, and I'm not leaving, and I'm not running, and I'm not going away, and I'm staying here. This is where I was born. This is where I'm going to have my son, and this is where I'm going to have the right medical care. And if you come into my room, you try to take my son, you go out with a bullet to your head. And it was as simple as that. And for about 3 months, when I first got here to Portsmouth, that's how I was with social services. They kept talking about if I was coming home with my son, and I kept saying, you talk like it's an option. You discuss this with me like it's an option. There is one option. If you come into my room and you have the intent of removing my baby from this room while I am chilling and enjoying that time and feeding and nurturing my baby that is my future and the child I'm going to nurture, and you threaten and inhibited that, then you're not going to meet a chilled out, relaxed mother who's got a baby on her breast, who's quite happy to put her baby into a crib next to her and go to sleep. You're not going to meet that person. Yeah. So the people that troll me would never, ever, ever understand what it feels like to have a baby in your belly that's safe. Safe. That's the difference. I can walk into any social services meeting, any police meeting, any court while there is a baby in my belly, because the only thing they can do to me is section me and create a forced cesarean section and take my baby that way. So the first fear then you've got is avoiding ambulances, because they're the only people that can pick you up from a section order. No social worker is legally allowed to take your child, even if they have a court order in their hands and they turn up at your door without the police. They cannot legally remove your children. Fact. The only people who can remove your children is a police officer with a court order that says that there is an order to remove your child. Now, it is a fake court. Fact. So actually, there is no rights to remove your children from you at all, really, legally, logistically. The challenge is they coerce people. One, take Josie on her final day of her court, and I tried my damn best to get that girl to understand, and I really wanted to be with her to make sure this didn't happen. But one, it was over a Skype meeting in a controlled room in a unit that she was living in, where she had to sit and listen to the court over a meeting. And she had someone sat next to her. Josie was basically told that she was too young to be a mother. She had a whole life ahead of her. She could do anything that she wanted to do. But she didn't have the emotional capacity or skills, and she had all of these labels, all of these things that meant that she couldn't be a mother. So basically, to sign this, people don't understand that when they sign a Section 20, it's a voluntary thing to do. But they leave them. So a lot of children are classed as neglected, not because they're neglected by you, as in you've harmed them while they've been in your care, but because you've neglected them in care. And they're there because they're neglected. So they're neglected children in care because you've signed them to the state. You've signed a Section 20 and you've never cancelled that. You've never, I can't think what you've never counteracted that. You've never said, right, well, I'm taking back the reins. You've basically give them your parental responsibility, yeah, to say, these are my children and I give them to you. Do you know some people actually do this deliberately to give their children a good start, as they call it? Some people commit crimes to get a good education so they can pay for it through the states. I want to go because there's so many different areas of it. So basically on Wednesday, I'm going. The boys and Dean are with me, so I'm in my own place and my own zone with all of this. Harriet Hartman is the very same person that the Give Me Back Elmo crew took a photograph of her jumping off a bus, chatting to people, jumping back on a bus and going, doing a news thing and going, getting back in a different car and going, fucking off. Harriet Hartman is also the very same person that was pulled up with the paedophilia information exchange, which is PI. So yes, I do know what PI is. Yes, you do remember, to the trolls, by the way, I'm taking the piss, who can't understand what my car and Harriet Hartman have got to do with each other. Well, I'm here in Portsmouth. I got 2 kids in there and Dean and a dog and our day stuff, and we got to get to Portsmouth. So my car failed its MOT. So I booked a train. That's what it's got to do with it. Ooh. So anyway, it's been my son's birthday. He's 23. So I've got a 26-year-old, a 23-year-old. Aaron and Faith are the 2 that were taken by the state. Liam and Daniel were never brought into it. But I have lost the better years of all of the years and all of the life that I had. I came into this world a child, and I brought a child into the world while still being a child, and I grew into an adult while raising my son, and we were a great team, and we worked well, and I had a wonderful, amicable relationship with Graham and Cara, who's his wife, and have been for many years, and it worked well. And not a lot of people have liked that. And as somebody who was raised by 2 parents and supposedly extra parents, step parents and people that have come and gone, I have never, ever, 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 ever wanted to ever be a woman that was ever divorced. I've never, ever, ever wanted to be like my parents, teenage mother. But what you resist, what you focus on, is what you get. And people don't understand the power in this. And I'll leave this before I go. Back in August 2012, as I was sitting in the interim property that I was given as classed as homeless from going from private rental into social housing, before Save the Family, before Pontins, before I started getting this whole nother chapter way before this. This is where that woman died, blah, 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 blah. So this is where, obviously, I'd already been self-employed and I was fell out of private rental and went into social housing, and also wanted to take, for the fact here where I am, my rent here, not including my service charges, is £370, where the private rental at the end there is £750. So that's the difference between council and private rental. Do you know what I mean? So I just wanted to say, I can't remember what I was going to say. What I will say, I will never, ever, 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 ever stop until I have let's forget Christmas, let's forget Easter, let's forget all these commercial holidays. Let's deal with one thing that I know. And there's a date that exists and a time, and there's a creation, and a baby is created. It's knitted in the womb of a mother. It's created by the seed of a father, and it grows And obviously, yes, we've got all this fake embryo shit bollocks and all this stuff going on. But naturally, let's deal with naturally. Let's not deal with men that want to have babies or women or whatever you are, or whatever. Let's deal with natural woman. I'm a natural woman, even if my breasts ain't natural. I have a vagina. I don't have a penis. And a baby can be created in my womb, and it comes into this day. And that day was the 17th of May for me, 44 years ago, this May coming. And I was born with the genetic defects classed as Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is men. I don't want to get into that. But the fact is that every child that comes into this world has a right to its innocence, to protect that vagina, to protect that penis, to protect that girl, to protect that boy, to connect that kid, to protect that feminine energy, to protect that masculine energy. And we live in a very confused state. We live in a very dissonant time in the world right now. Yes, there's a lot of disinformation out there. Yes, there's a lot of confusion out there. Yes, there's a lot of mind controlling out there. Yes, there's a lot of Western v East. What you've got to remember is we may be Westerners, but there is a war between the Westerners, Easterners, the Northerners, and the Southerners on a world. Fuck the fact that the South and the North in Great Britain don't get on. Yeah? You know, that goes on. So I think we have to personally forget what was written in stone 400 years ago, 600 years ago, after Christ, before Christ. And all of us have to really just sort of sit here and go, look, whatever people have done before, we can only work forward, and we can only work with where we are now. And I love it that police are dancing. I love it that police are skating. I love it that people are trying to build bridges. But there has always been a war against the state. And it's not the state that's the problem, so to say. It's not even the Queen that's the problem, so to say. It's the mindsets that people have and the belief systems that they have, that are a reflection of their own minds, that they don't understand because of the lack of education, the lack of knowledge, the lack of wisdom, the lack of integrity, the lack of morals, values, beliefs, back to normal, basic values, principles, the heart. You know, we have lost this, and this is the problem with the system. It doesn't have this. No robot can have this. No AI can have this. No multi-agency framework paperwork can have this. No judge can sit there and work with this. No judge can work with common sense and reason. He has to go based on law. Law that's not created to protect this, but it's worked on health and safety, protection, on a basis that we don't have the provider and the protector that protects the family, and the family dynamics are not the same because everybody's become a slave for the state. So I'm just really, really looking forward to this summer. But Wednesday, I'll see how it goes. I'm not putting any expectations on myself. I'll speak to who I'm going to speak to when I need to speak to them. Yes, we are getting off at London Waterloo. We're going to be spending most of our time in a particular area. If Dean is with the boys and anybody sees him, just seriously leave him. He'll bite your fucking head off. If you see me and I'm out on my own and you're around, that's not a problem. If people want to message me and say, when are you going down to Portcullis House? So if you want to independently be at Portcullis House, I will not stand with anybody drunk, pissed, using drugs, swearing, calling them paedophiles, attacking anybody, causing any hassle. If you want to stand there as a person, and even if you don't want to bust gags or anything like that, they like this word victim, I don't. But if you want to stand there with your children's photographs, representing yourself, your family, coming, and I'm going to say try to come as families if you are going to be there, and that is literally to go, mum, dad, nan, granddad, aunties, uncles, all of these are missing, these children or whatever, have a birthday cake, whatever, do whatever you do representing yourself. But I'm not going to be standing with anyone, I'm not with anybody. But what I am going to be doing is asking to have my witness statement given in true affidavit of everything that I've seen and how I felt from a point of view of having a psychology degree, a youth degree, how I see things, what I've been through more, what I've been through since being here in Portsmouth. Look, now we know what we've been up in with the trolls. Things are so different between me and Dean. We've got nothing to argue about because we know it's not me, it's not him, it's not my mum, it's not anybody close to me. I don't know who the fuck it is yet, but I will do soon enough. It's pissing off people around me that want to do something about it, that can do stuff. What they choose to do is up to them, but I don't need anything to happen to this person because then the website's stuck unless you can take it down until they don't pay it, which wouldn't take long because their bank accounts could get closed down if anything happened to them and all that sort of stuff. So, but I don't really want to win this battle that way. If I was that sort of person, I would have done that to District Judge Andrew Shaw, who's been retired for the last year or two. It's very easy to send an escort into his house. It's easy. It's piss easy. I'm sure he'd want one soon enough. It's not difficult to plan, to implement, to do stuff. It's not difficult to go to somewhere like Wiggles here and speak to some Russian, Belgium or whatever and give money and ask people to do stuff. It's not difficult, yeah? So anyway, Wednesday, I'm going to be at Portcullis House. I'm going to be outside. I've got to check and narrow down the exact time of the meeting. But if I present too soon, they will move the time of the meeting because they'll think I'm up to something. They'll be watching my lives to see what I'm up against. I ain't dishing my cards out, mate. All I'm saying is I'm there to do an intervention. I'm there to make these people think wider than the perspective for what they're doing. I'm there to say that it wasn't that long ago that a police officer stood up in the middle of a public inquiry about this and said in 10 years' time, this will be the biggest scandal. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And it will be classed as state kidnap. The social care system is there to enable, empower and help people. If you've got a disability, a mental health or learning difficulty, it's meant to be there to build that bridge to enable you to be inspired, to transfer, to thrive. We're not meant to be survivors, we're meant to thrive. We're meant to be here to be the best version of ourselves, and everything else is about a distraction. Don't be distracted by your past, learn from it. We cannot change what we have been through. We can only change what it means to us. I'm still here, I'm still breathing. Don't think I haven't battled suicide. Too fucking right. It's that easy in conversation between me and Dean that he walks away whenever I even mention it. Yeah. So, don't think I haven't had those battles. Of course I have. I had from the very, 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 very first moment I walked out of that court told that I couldn't oppose the adoption order. But I've got a life. I've got a new life. I get on. It's going really well. I don't really know where it's going, but we're all going on Wednesday. Take it from there. See how it goes. Anything can happen. All I hope is enough people had the chance to write in and it's all logged and it's all on the system. And all I can just say is to people that are currently going through it, just campaigns, don't listen to the people talking about they're all this and they're all that. There's some really lovely foster carers out there and some really lovely social workers, adult and children. And there's some really lovely people trying to do the right thing. And they understand that it's underfunded, underworked. They understand certain aspects, but they don't understand what it's like to have a penny left in your bank account and want to buy milk. They don't understand, and if they do, it's because they were either a student on noodles. Most and many students in university have escorted, prostituted, taken drugs, drunk. Very, 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 very few were ever what you call the geeks. The geeks are not perfect people, and neither were the cool people. None of us got it right. There is a manual. but it's been completely contaminated. It's called the Bible. It's not the true Bible. You'll never see the true Bible. It's been hidden for many years. It always will be and forever will be. Every single one of us has our own DNA. Every single one of us has the key to our own padlock within our own heart. Every single one of us has a power to lock our own chastity belt. Every single one of us has our own choice, our own decision, and our own free will. What we choose to do with that is up to us. Everybody can think for themselves. We can speak for ourselves. We can make decisions for ourselves. We're finite beings, and we can do what it is, whatever we choose to do. There was structure. Don't hinder. There's lots of different things. And at the end of the day, if we just went on as families, and here in the Western world, yes, we need education, yes, we need facilities, yes, we need tools. But if we lived in our own homes, environments, instead of, at least we're not like some places that is like fucking Japanese, but, you know, children shouldn't be in flats. They need gardens, they need surroundings, they need to be out, they need to be venturing. They shouldn't be behind cages to learn, you know. Families shouldn't be divided in the way that they are. The man goes out, the woman goes out, children goes out. It's not how it was meant to be. So anyway, it's exciting times for us all. Feel the fear. Fuck it. And do it anyway. Have faith. Have fun. Live in joy. Be peace. Harmony. Prosperity. There's some bad things going on. Don't ignore it. Be aware. Pray into it. If you can't help, don't hinder. But this summer, just maybe be less ignorant to other people's cultures and ways, and why we have people here that people call immigrants and can be very nasty to people, and you don't know the ways of their world. You don't know where they've come from. Wars have been going on for many years. So just be at peace with each other and spend time with your family. Like, have a picnic on the park for your family, play baseball, rounders, have fun. But to the people that are all going back tomorrow, I pray for you all, because the Great Reset's here, whether you like it or not. I'm gagged. I'm not where I should have been to help bridge the gap. I'm here. But there's many, 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 many people out there that are doing anything and everything that they can without picking guns up, without fighting to that way. But unfortunately, there may come a time, Putin sees that. I don't want to get into all of that at the moment. So anyway, it's Monday tomorrow. I've got some stuff to do here. I'm getting on, and I've actually got my whole shop outside at the moment. So I might be sleeping down in the garage tonight. Do you want to have a look before I go? Look. Oh, seriously, I've got me on. My dog. I've got my ironing going on. It seems pointless to put it away because it's got to go. It's got to go. It's got to go. Some of it is going to different places, but I just need cash. Cash, 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 money, 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 money. I've got lots of business ventures going on, lots of things going on, and I just need prosperity, money to buy things, move Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, gold, everything. So, anyway, have a fantastic week. But if just be heeded, be I'm assuming just I haven't got kids in school, but if you've got kids going into school and everything's moving over, look, a lot of it is really, really good. What I said is it shouldn't have been done, manipulated, but not all of it is, and it's very evil. And we're heading into a very dark, debauchery, horrible, dark time. So just keep your head about yourself, keep your wits about yourself, and as fun as it might seem, just think integrity intact. And you've only got maybe 70 years on this planet, but you've got a whole eternity of a life, and it ain't worth coming back. And this is what keeps me out of suicide, by the way, because suicides don't go to hell. Suicides have to come back and face what it is that they couldn't face. So you don't get to bypass your test, basically. So anyway, we've all got our own name, each to our own. We've all got our own walk, we've all got our own journey. But just to say, the hamsters are now footloose, free around the house somewhere, and we decided to let them go. It was horrible to watch them trying to climb up the cage and getting out and stuff, so they're both now free. The other one's gone to find the other one, and when we pack up this place, they'll either come with us or they won't. So oh, I'm getting chilly. I can't believe I've got to go downstairs yet. Anyway, see you tomorrow morning probably. Good night.